Silage making, in Kenya, Kenyan farmers do it already since years. Normally the problem of silage making is transportability. So what we did since 2015 is actually packing the maize into blue drums, and farmers buy it or they pack it themselves for easy transport, but it's very cumbersome. So what is happening, we are now actually making it mechanized, and the machine has just arrived. It's new. It comes from the Netherlands, and it's packing maize very tightly, very compressed into 400 kg bales. Growing maize for silage, we normally say you top dress with roughly 2.5 bags of CAN per acre, so that you have good enough nutrient content in the maize. Again, when you top dress enough, the maize will remain more green, so you have a bigger window of harvesting. Now when it comes to harvesting, we actually prefer being done with good machines, because the problem mostly is that you should harvest at a dry stage of the maize corn. The maize corn should be dry, though the plant should be wet. So only good machines can crack the corn so that the cow can digest it. And I think that is also what we are offering here. The stage is, when the stage is the right one, you have more starch than sugars, and starch gives you actually the milk. And also with enough top dressing you have more proteins, though in general proteins is low in silage, but you have more already, making you to reduce dairy meal much more as a farmer.
So FIT, which is for the innovation team, is a group of investors. Some are dairy farmers. So they have farms which in areas where they have no access to large parcels of land to do their own fodder production. So they came together, agreed that they can invest into a packaging system for silage. So behind me is the packaging system. So we are now in one of the farms that has done quality silage, where now FIT is packaging this silage. Part of the silage will be consumed by these investors in the FIT company, and as well it is also available to each and every dairy farmer who is willing to buy it.
Normally silage is done into pits, so that can be a dark pit or on top of the soil. As FIT, we are now innovating it in the way that we are introducing this packing, which can be either done straight from the farm or from already ready-made silage, which is mostly for bigger farms, so that they actually sell off their excess silage, because it's a business for farmers, and there are many small-scale farmers who need silage. So, and as FIT, we actually our main business is the packing of maize silage and the silage itself, because we are growing our own silage. But we also offer the services of harvesting aside, so that it comes as a whole package to the farmer. So silage is very nutritious to dairy animals, so you really reduce the dairy meal. And I think that is the profitability, because growing your own silage at the end of the day comes to cheaper than as if you buy it. I mean, that is everywhere like that. But still, when you buy the silage, it reduces your dairy meal much more than, so you don't have to buy the expensive dairy meal.
Basically, when you look at the fodders that are currently in the market that farmers are buying, we have hay on one side. Farmers can make their own silage from Napier grass, for example. Then if you look at maize silage, it is really a much better quality product. It has a lot more energy in it. The energy is also more digestible, so animals use it more efficiently. And through that, you can basically reduce the amount of feeds that you have to buy commercially from a shop, and that makes feeding of the cow cheaper, and thus the margin that you get in producing milk will become higher and positive. Our unique selling point is, number one, Farmers are very busy people. They get up early in the morning taking care of their dairy cows, and often they finish very late at night. And then when the rains come, they also have to think of planting and then at the end conservation of the product. We want to help them so that they can focus on their dairy animals, focus on the feeding itself and taking care of the cows, taking care of how we milk them so that we produce quality milk on farm level, and maybe that part of harvesting the fodder for the cows, we remove it away from him, we provide the service, and we can do a very good job. But this machine can do it. It has a very high dense compaction of the silage. It wraps it very nicely, and if you do it straight away at the moment when you are cutting the silage, this product in the bales wrapped has a shelf life of at least 2 years. Look at maize silage, and this is maize silage that is harvested together with the cob. So if we harvest the plant together with the cob, that is the stem, the leaves and the cob, and it is chopped very fine, you can see that the size is about 1 centimeter to 2.5 centimeters, not longer. The corn, the seeds, they have a lot of starch in them. That is of excellent, it's an excellent nutrient for the dairy cow to produce milk on. You have to make sure, and that's why often capacity becomes very important when producing silage. We have to crush the kernel so that the starch becomes available during the fermentation process, and because of the high starch levels, that's what makes it a very good product for dairy cows. Sorghum is also a very good product. Actually, the types of sorghums that are coming up into the market are getting better and better. What I mean by that is that the digestibility of the fibrous tissue that is in here is becoming better also with sorghums, and that makes still so far the difference between maize silage and other types of silages is the high energy content and the digestibility and of the fibrous tissue in the crop. So from there, when people get familiar with it, when people also start to see that it is much more economical to feed a very good quality forage compared to a very poor quality forage, like what I have in mind then is rice straw or barley straw or even bomber oats hay of very poor quality. It's better to buy this type of maize silage, which in terms of energy you're paying less for the amount of energy that you buy than compared to the hays or the straws that are available in the country. So once farmers see that that is benefiting them in their management, in their making their farm cost effective, then I'm sure the demand for this product will increase, and then investors will see that the investment in a machine like this will pay back over a couple of years.
As SNV and through KMDP, we seek to provide solutions within the dairy sector, which aim to reduce the cost price of milk production at the farm level. So through this project, now we see that farmers have access to quality silage because we have enabled the portability of the silage from where it is produced and to where it is required. So we hope to see that farmers will be able to take up silage as a more quality forage for their animals, and therefore they'll increase milk production and as well as lower the cost of producing the same liter of milk. This initiative has been successful, and in the near future we hope that other people who have the ability, they have access to resources in terms of land, the know-how for production of maize silage, can really replicate this model and extend it to the larger population of dairy farmers in this country. This initiative has been availed to the Further Innovation team at the beginning of the KMDP Phase 2, which was in the month of October 2016. We have an elaborate process of how an investor can apply to the Innovation Fund for KMDP. So this information is available on SNV's website, as well as a website we also have as cowsoko.com. So there you have the procedures on how to apply to the Innovation Fund. But generally, the idea is already funded from the same Innovation Fund, so it might not be possible to replicate a similar funding because we only fund to prove the concept that this idea is viable. So we have reached a point where the idea has matured, is viable. Now we are asking other investors who the risk has been reduced, they can simply replicate without requiring donor funds to do the same.
This investor conference organized by SNV is very good for a farmer because one, it's helping farmers to understand the way they need to do modernized dairy farming. And I'm saying modernized in the sense that farmer is being taken through the correct feed for their livestock and how also to improve on their costs, how to reduce costs in their farms and get affordable feed for the animals. Because at the end of the day, the farmer is looking at what margins are they making in the farm. The Dutch, they have really helped us in terms of helping farmers to understand the best way of doing modernized farming, dairy farming, that even farmers at the moment, unlike the old farmers, the young guys are leaving jobs to come and do dairy farming because that is where the money is. And I'm happy with the Dutch because they're able to empower the farmers in North Rift here to training them to understand how to do a well-mechanized and modernized dairy farming. And they're able to make quite good margins. Yeah, unlike before when we didn't have anybody like partners of SNV. The price that the farmer is selling that amount of milk per liter. Because you realize the processors here are buying milk for so cheap that even farmers are not able to make any coin at the end of the day. Yeah, that's the biggest challenge. If farmers are empowered, that even they're able to do value addition in their farms, that with value addition they're able to sell pasteurized milk at quite a cheap, quite a very attractive price, between 60 and 70 shillings. Personally, I'm also doing farming. I pasteurize my milk and I'm able to sell at 70 shillings a liter. So I can't take my milk to a processor because they're buying at 29, 30 shillings and they're not even predictable in terms of price.
In our farm, we do training the small-scale farmers. So the mechanized part of that baled silage is very good for the small-scale farmer. Person who has about 1 to 5 cows is able to buy that, and it's affordable, cost-effective. If you see, planting 1 acre of maize involves a lot because there is land preparation, inputs, the farm inputs that they buy, and also time consuming, and planting season up to the harvesting part of it. It's so tiresome and quite costly compared to buying, because purchasing and also the silage bunkers that they have to make and the compaction. And also preservation is very important. Maybe they might do the wrong thing. Other than buying, you see, there have been so many losses because we've seen so many farmers losing silage because of the losses in fermentation and the spoilage of all the silage bunkers. So it's always easier to buy such, and putting them in bales is easier to feed also. And also the cutting sizes and getting the machine, the right machine, is very important.